What's up guys, welcome back. We're working on this hot rod mini truck again today. We're gonna finish up the fabrication of this core support, get some body work done in here, and get it in its final coat of primer, again, using the aerosol 2K primer that you can use at home. There's a dang good reason they call this body work and not body fun, because this sucks. This epoxy primer we sprayed last time, it has a window of about 7 days for me to do body work on it. So I went ahead and used this fiberglass reinforced body filler. It's waterproof, use it over the weld seams, and that'll fill any pinholes and anything else that was left in there. It also doesn't shrink back over time like a regular lightweight body filler will.
You mean shrink it?
Yes!
Not as much anyway. So what we're gonna do today is finish sanding on that, finish up this core support, get that in epoxy primer, get the fiberglass filler on that, sand it, we'll do some lightweight filler on it, sand it, prime it, and then it should all be ready for color. Bodywork is not fun, guys, but it's not gonna do it itself. Just gotta hydrate and get to it. I think that's good enough till we finish this core support. Let's get into some more sheet metal. Like so many other things we do around here, we're gonna start making a template. Just piecing this cardboard together till I get the shape that I want. Tape, cardboard, hot glue, super glue, bubble gum, whatever you gotta do. So I'll be making a cover panel over this whole core support. Something that'll match the firewall a little better. It'll be a removable panel that goes over the radiator and all that. But I'm still not happy with that corner. It just doesn't look like it belongs. Even though you're not gonna see the top of it here because of that cover panel, you're still gonna see this section. And with that forward tilt hood, you're gonna be looking at it from this direction. So I'm gonna make this piece and this piece separate. So that way I can make it roll into there. Like that. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. These two dotted lines that I just put on there, that's where I need to put a brake. Bend it. All right, let's cut up some metal. So I kind of changed my mind. I don't want to do that in two pieces. I want to try to do it in one. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. We do it in two pieces, whatever. I'm gonna need you to go ahead and cooperate.
Thanks.
We made the right decision doing that in one piece, guys. That looks good. We'll get the other one cut out and bent up before we move any further. I'll be happy with that. So I think the right thing to do now is clean the back sides of these, shoot them with a primer, and while that's curing, we'll cut these ones out that we started a long time ago. We don't need them no more. This is a truck bed liner from Duplicolor. We got a coat of primer and bed liner in there, as well as on the inside of these. Another thing I did with that was in the transmission tunnel, I got underneath there with a brush and went over all the weld seams underneath with this brushable seam sealer. After that dried, I sprayed it with that bed liner under there as well. Had a good breakfast. Now I'm ready to get back on this truck. I got about 5,500 tack welds on that. It's looking super ugly, but you know what? It's got to look ugly before it looks good. I put some pieces in the corners too, so our cover panel can screw to those. I'm gonna climb up there and look for some parts that somebody was looking for, and then I'll come back down and we'll grind all that smooth and get all that in an epoxy primer, let that set up and do some more body work, because we love body work. So that's what he wanted. Set of taillights. Looks like I got 2 sets. I got all that too. Door panel armrest, glove box door. Oh, I got the whole glove box. Brake booster, master cylinder, gauges, ashtray. I got a bunch of stuff. If anybody out there needs any love parts, let me know. I got some. I might just have what you need. I'm not a big fan of heights, guys. Used to be all right with them until I was on a chairlift and it broke. All the emergency brakes failed. Dang thing went backwards so fast. People were jumping off, falling off, breaking themselves. It was crazy. The chairs are falling off the cable, landing in a pile on the ground. It was nuts. So I got a little bit of PTSD going on from that, so I'm not a fan of heights. So if you do need any of them love parts, I gotta climb back up there to get them. So I'm gonna need at least a like and a subscribe. Anyway, I gotta get this ground down so we can get it in primer, because it's gonna have to sit for a while before I do body work on it. All right, that epoxy primer we already had on there, that was way past its 7-day window of being able to do anything over the top of it, so I scuffed it up. So now, I'm gonna go over the whole thing with epoxy primer again. We used this last time too, but I didn't really go into detail about it. But it's a 2K epoxy primer in an aerosol can. So this is perfect at home if you don't have a big air compressor or a primer gun or know how to use it. In the long run, it's a bit more expensive than doing it with a gun, but if you're at home, this might be a good option for you. This is from SprayMax 3680033. You can get it in a lot of places online, including Amazon. So on the cap here, there's a little red knob, pop that out of there, and it goes in the bottom. Put this guy in here like thus. When you push down on it, it'll release that activator into the primer. You gotta give it a good shaking. This stuff is real potent, guys. A good idea to wear a mask. Dang. All right, guys, that primer's been sitting overnight. I'm gonna do some of this fiberglass reinforced body filler on all those weld seams. This hardener, I'm sure there's an exact amount you're supposed to use, but I don't know. Just a dollop will do you. It's a good idea to knead it first. Then you don't get what I just got. Like the mustard plug. You know what I mean? You get the mustard, you open up the cap, it's got the plug on it. Not really. That was actually more like the ketchup bottle you forgot to shake. Alright, so you don't want to stir this. Just gonna wanna, what do they call that? Kneading? I need this to do it itself. If you stir it, you're more likely to introduce air bubbles into it, and that's gonna show up in your body work. Doing it this way, you're working them bubbles out. I'm not super concerned about putting this on all pretty, because it's gonna look worse before it looks better. You do, however, want to prevent sanding. Smoother it goes on, the less you gotta sand it. See, this is where it pays to be a fidgeter like me. As this is drying, I'm cutting the high spots off with my knife, picking them off. Like that. That could all have been dust. I think we're good to go, guys. Let's sand this. The longer that sits, the harder it is to sand. So right now it's not totally dry, it's not totally hard, but it's not tacky anymore either. So it's prime for sanding. It's 40 grit. If I had anything coarser than 40 grit, I'd be using that. My DA paper, I'm out of everything but 320 and 180. So I'm doing the best I can with this 40 grit and looking forward to being done with this. We're doing cross hatches, sanding it this way, keeping it as wide as possible, and we're going with our curves. You don't want to go lengthwise along your curve because you put a groove in it. So you want to keep it wide and with the curve. Cross hatch, mind the curve. We are not trying to make this perfect this go around. We're just getting it close. If I told you guys how much I love body work, we're gonna move on to the lightweight body filler. Pretty much gonna give the whole thing a light skim coat. This stuff's a whole lot easier to sand though. All right, we got a skim coat of mud on that. Now we can get to sanding it. We'll go over it with 80 grit, and then we'll go over it with 180, and then you should be able to prime over that. Again, I'm doing cross hatches and I'm going with that curve. I'm gonna be using the longest block that I can, so I'm covering more area at the same time. If you're using a short block in a big area, you're more likely to get waves. Is that it? We done? It's been hours, days. Block sanded it with 80 grit and then 180, and then I buzzed over it with 320. That's finally ready for primer again. I even asked my wife, do you know why they call it body work? Because it sucks? No, because if we called it body fun, you'd want to do it all. Thinking that she'd want to take over, you know, like that whole reverse psychology thing. She didn't fall for it. We're gonna do this just like before. That's gonna get a guide coat and we'll block sand it again before we turn it red. But that's how it's gonna sit for now while we move on to something else. Like the footage I found on an old hard drive of a past life. Nowadays, this thing pretty much just gets me to point A to point B in the garage. But there was a day I was more comfortable on this than I was walking on my own feet. Getting old's a bitch. Yeah, if you could like and subscribe, that'd be great. Thanks.